So yeah, of course, guys, we're gonna check out what we have for our watch later. Um, of course, the video I got is from Mother's Basement, the hottest trash anime for fall 2024. Yes, we got the hottest trash anime. I wanted to check out what is the new top anime for this season. Things that are just new, things that are just different. I wanted to give my reaction on a few of those things. Wanted to see what we have for this latest anime season. So yeah, hopefully hopefully we'll see shows that I like. Hopefully we'll see shows that I've been interested to and shows that I've been watching. Let's just jump in.
I told you. Over the nose.
There we go.
5 Mississippis, then release. Do you have any idea what a chloroform overdose? Hey, welcome back to Shea Garbage. I'm
What's
so
that
glad you
supposed
could
to
make
mean?
it, and you will be too once you see the absolute pile of trash we've got ready to roast tonight. Especially if you like fantasy anime, because that's most of it. Lack of variety won't be an issue, though, because for once, we've gotten our hands on no less than 3 premium pieces of girl trash. And only 2 of them are Villainess type dealies. Of course, gourmet
crazy?
garbage like that doesn't come cheap. Neither does shipping human cargo to Tokyo, come to think of it. But don't you worry about your bill. You already paid it, plus a very generous tip when we dragged you in here. Just one more perk of our patented proactive service package. What's that? You don't like having money take?
So for me, my opinion varies when it comes to trash anime. I think it's one of those mediums that is needed. I wouldn't consider it trash anime because it's something that's different. You know, it follows the traditional anime cause, the anime culture. I wouldn't necessarily call it trash, but yeah, it is kind of trashy in a sense. I get what he means by calling it the hottest trash anime.
First into the real spicy trash, I figured you might appreciate a light, mild appetizer. So the first item on tonight's menu is the wholesome, relaxing, barely spicy at all fantasy slow life goodness of Goodbye Dragon Life.
Goodbye Dragon Life. Yeah, Goodbye Dragon Life is one of those animes that, man, it hits you. It's not the hardest, it's not the most craziest. Apologies. It's not the hardest, it's not the most craziest. It's pretty chilled, it's a vibe, it's different. It's more different from other animes that you see. It's one of those that you're like, okay, cool. Like, what can I gain from this type of anime? Like Goodbye Dragon Life. It's one of those that, okay, cool. When you first watch it, it's not the most exciting, it's not the most different, and it's not the most unique, but it has its own story and it has its own vibe. Basically, a guy which was dragon and he was a dragon in his past life, he gets reincarnated into a human. So yeah, it kind of follows the whole isekai tropes. Kind of a bit disappointing sometimes because yeah, the story is a bit rushed sometimes. The animation is a bit rough. But yeah, I gotta give it to it for it being its own unique show. Yeah, it's different. I gotta give it to that. Let me just reduce that.
Lonely and depressed, he really didn't mind at all when the humans came to slay him one day, only to find a new lease on life 1,000 years later when he's reborn as a human himself. A human named Dolan, though tragically no one in this world understands how funny that is. It is a surprisingly well-built and immersive world, though, for how low rent some of the visuals are. One where plenty of thought has clearly gone into.
But to be honest as well, as much as we can call it low graphic, man, it's better than Blue Lock. I mean, it is 10 times better than what Blue Lock animation is doing. This is way better. But hey, I gotta give it to them. It's something different. I can't complain.
Little things like village customs, cultural relations between fantasy races, the way magic affects local ecosystems, the unique biology of the all-female Lamia race that allows them to mate with any species. Okay, when I say that last one out loud, it does kind of sound like a horny world-building thing, but I assure you, it's simply a setup for some very cutesy romance between the ageless Dolan and this fresh-eyed Lamia girl taking her first steps into the world in search of a husband named Selena. Because that's what this show's really all about. Folks from different walks of life learning to live alongside each other and solving small-town problems. Take the captain of the local guard, this gruff and serious guy on the outside, side who's a real softie deep down. This doting dad and hardcore wife guy who's endlessly proud of the bovine beast woman he managed to marry.
That's crazy.
I would honestly give this show a proper, out of 10, I would give it maybe like a 6. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too wild. It's a pretty chill mid show. Nothing crazy, nothing wild, nothing that you like is to die for. It's pretty chilled, man. I gotta give it to that Goodbye Dragon Life. I never expected it to be something amazing. Of course, out of all shows, this one I was expecting it to be like the most highest rank, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that crazy. I would give this one maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but yeah, giving it 1 or 2 episodes, you're not getting to the good parts. It gets better over time, and of course, guys, I got this video on my channel. It's actually one of the videos that I'm reacting to on my YouTube channel. You guys must check it out. Of course, just check out my YouTube. It's there. Goodbye Dragon Life. It's on my playlist. You must make sure you check it out. It's pretty cool. I get it's a vibe.
That's well, Oh, wait. They got cows outside. That's where the milk came from. She just phrased it a little weird is all.
Right.
No, wait again. Now she's asking folks to taste test her daughter's milk. That wouldn't taste any different if she took it out the same cows as her mom. That one's on me. I definitely underestimated the monster fuckers. In my defense, though, that is some totally spies-level fetish smuggling, and the cozy fantasy vibe kind of made me lower my guard a bit. It could have happened to anyone. I give Goodbye Dragon Life, hello Lamia wife, 2 barrels full of that guy's wife's milk. No point going easy on.
Yeah, Goodbye Dragon Life is a good watch. I would definitely give it a watch. Give it a try. It's something different. Yeah, it's not family friendly, but it's better than nothing. What else do we got next? We got You Will Never Guess Who. What?
For that, in fact, I may as well give you some more whiplash while your neck's nice and limber. Out of all the I can't believe it's not isekai substitutes that have passed through this kitchen over the years, the healer who was banished from his party is, in fact, the strongest.
The healer who banished from his party, who in fact is the strongest, is a pretty good series. It's chilled. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too wild. It's better than you think it is. I enjoyed this series. I really enjoyed it. It was one of those that gave me a shocker. Gave me something that I never really expected from other animes that came out this season. This one is a good watch. So basically it's a guy that he was a healer in his party. He had to learn how to be stronger than everybody. So he's not just a healer. He's a multitude type of how can I put it, warrior in a party. He has different type of skills. He's a warrior. He's a healer. He's a strategist. Yeah, and he gets better and better. So the girl that he partners up with the blue hair eventually was a girl that he saved once upon a time. So yeah, it's a pretty good show. Pretty good show. Would definitely give this a watch.
Is, in fact, the blandest. Until, all of a sudden, it's just completely fucking insane. It's about this healer, see, whose party kicks him out because all he can use is the basic heal spell. But get this, it turns out he's actually the strongest guy ever, as we find out when this cute martial arts girl, who he rescued from monsters a few years ago, but he doesn't recognize her because her hair's blue now, insists on joining his party, despite everyone around her telling her what a fuck-up he is. And I do mean everyone. He's basically a local celebrity with a nickname and everything for the sheer scale of his fuck-uppery. Even though he can stack that one heal spell to achieve all the same effects of more powerful healing spells, except for antidotes, which you can just buy antidotes. And also, he's so good at stabbing stuff that he can one-shot orcs, none of which is a secret to any of the folks who've labeled him a fuck-up, by the way. It's just that it never occurred to literally anyone that being able to do 2 things might be better than only doing one thing? Anyway, very long.
Okay, that was a terrible explanation. But yeah, it's a pretty good show. I would definitely give this one a watch. It's better than you think it is. Way better. It's honestly a show that I would definitely give a watch. Yeah, it does sound a bit rough, but trust me, it's worth the watch. I gotta give it to him. You know, way worth the watch than you think it is. But yeah, let's continue. Let's see what we got next.
Here at Chez Garbage, we strive to serve only the finest trash the
What
anime
is
industry
this
has to
now?
offer, be it the best of the best or the best of the worst. Which is why I never really bothered with the first season of Demon Lord Retry. It was just kind of mid. But when I saw Demon Lord Retry R sitting ugly with a 5.5 out of 10 at the very bottom of MAL, I had to see what went wrong, and I'm
Demon Lord Retry R. This is an interesting one. I haven't heard of this series before. This sounds like a bomb fest. Oh, hello. Who's there? For me, anime to become too formulative. Yeah, of course. Animes have become too formulaic in a way. It is what it is, you know. That's the industry that we're in. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that you can't kind of get over it. I feel like for me, anime, it is what it is, you know. It kind of how can I put this? Animes nowadays, they have the formula. So for them to improve that formula is difficult. And as well, for them to create a new show that people are going to watch is very hard. You know how it is. This industry is cutthroat. It's entertainment. People like what they like, and if they don't like it, they won't watch it. So it's tough. You know, we have shows like I forgot the show. It's this other one, something over the moon. This other new show which has such a great, unique story. But at the end of the day, you see nobody watches it because nobody gives a damn. You know how it is. Anime is tough. It's tough. This is a tough industry.
pleased to report that it's even worse than I expected.
What the heck?
For the uninitiated, like me, Demon Lord Retry is the story of an indie game developer who finds himself reincarnated as the final boss of his own hardcore MMO after he decides to shut the servers down one day, only in a different fantasy world from the one in the game that he made. Sounds an awful lot like Overlord with the serial numbers filed off, except instead of a typical video game villain, this guy acts more like a typical Yakuza. It was never a huge hit.
That is funny.
It did garner a small, dedicated fan base, and that clearly wasn't good enough for the guys making this sequel, because they decided to pretend those fans don't exist and sell the show to a whole new audience. What do I mean?
Like what?
Half the first episode is a beat-for-beat remake of the first episode of the first season, which I guess was kind of warranted, because that first season looks like absolute dog shit, but all this new studio managed to make was a different kind of dog shit. Like, if OG Retry was a gritty, lumpy turd, then this is more sloppy, soft-serve diarrhea. Meaning, the start of this new season gives existing fans literally zero reason to watch it. And not just the first episode. The second one takes us on an aimless wander through Ainzul Gonat Holmes' fantasy town that he owns as an excuse to recap more stuff from last season and reintroduce all the hot anime girls in his orbit, including the holy maiden in a cross necklace who styles.
This sounds like a dumpster fire. I gotta give it to them. This is a dumpster fire. That's crazy, man. But hey, I appreciate it. It's something different. Sounds unique from what I expected it to be, but yeah, this is a dumpster fire, and yeah, sounds like a show I would really like. But hey, you know.
Her flamingo pink hair with a middle bang and 2 side poofs. The holy maiden in cross hairpins who styles her petal pink hair with a middle bang and 4 side poofs. The blonde one, the blonde one, the blonde one, and the horny sociopath doctor. Apologies to any fans of those characters if that roast seemed too mean. The recap just doesn't recap anything that might have made them interesting. But the most baffling thing of all is that after 2 episodes of poorly rehashed content that's sure to filter all but the most dedicated of returning fans, the show suddenly sends its protag off in a carriage ride to a completely different city with 2 completely different waifus from the ones it just spent 40 minutes establishing.
No, that is so terrible. Why would they do that? That's literally, you're killing your own show. That's them literally burning their own show. That no wonder the show just became so bad. How do you do that? How do you have waifus in your own show, then you just end up burning them off? That's crazy. That is really, really, really crazy.
I can only describe as Joke Megumin and Red Yuffie Strife 13.
Oh my god.
Thereby leaving anyone who might have benefited from all those flashbacks just as in the dark as if they hadn't bothered with them at all. Not that it's particularly difficult to follow if you've seen enough generic isekai slop. I'm just genuinely impressed that they managed to make an anime for literally nobody. Lord Retry R is a full-on 5-alarm medical waste dumpster fire if I've ever seen one. Arifureta Season 3 does a better...
Yeah, I guess that's how it is, man. You know, I guess no plot structure, no identity. I think that's the one thing which with this type of anime, it needs to have an identity, it needs to have a plot structure. It shouldn't just be, you know, them throwing all the ideas on the wall and them trying to see if it's gonna stick. And in Arifureta Season 3, this is also another video that I'm covering on my channel. Arifureta, honestly, it's mid. When I mean mid, it's very mid. I feel like, you know, we've lost the awe of the main protagonist. The main protagonist, the girl that he has, and the waifus around him. They've just lost the source. Everything around this show just kind of is mid. And it's very disappointing. I'm like, this show has so much potential. Way more potential than I think it has compared to these other shows. I just wish it expanded a bit more. Did a bit more. But hey, that's how it is.
Getting you caught up to where it's at with like 3 minutes of recap than Retry does with 40, and it picks up with Hajime and his harem tooling around, sniping slavers from 30,000 feet in a magic Quinjet that he built with alchemy, and also one of his waifus died and came back as a goddess. The slaver sniping bit is how we're introduced.
Like that already, one of his waifus died and came back as a goddess. Come on. Like, it's very, very underwhelming.
The latest arc, which finally brings the series' focus back to Shia's Halia tribe and their new guerrilla war against a ruthless beastman trafficking empire. The bunny girls and boys in question are holding their own surprisingly well in the war, thanks to Hajime's combat training from way back when in the anime, but that's not the only thing they've picked up from their Chunibyo edgelord boss.
My name's Lana Infarina, the Swift Gale. I'm known as Nia Steria, the Skybreaker. And I'm Nia Shutatrim of the External Murder.
You can call me Yauzelius, the Phantom. And I am Jorgander, the Silent Blade.
Not sure who taught them how to JoJo pose, but I'm definitely not complaining. Hajime is, though, and generally cringing out of his skin, because he never asked to be a red-eyed, silver-haired, eye-patched edgelord. He was...
Like, it's just too much. Like, this show is just too much. It's too much in the lore of isekai, bringing too many elements into one show. That's where now this show kind of feels lost. I don't know where this show is gonna go next. It's just kind of lost in its own, you know, in its own vibe. That's very disappointing.
Reborn that way in a monstrous mutation beyond his control, and then lost his eye in battle at a time when the only conveniently available replacement just happened to be a demonic artifact. The eye patch isn't a fashion statement, I swear.
Right.
The trench coat definitely is, though. But
everything is
never beating those allegations, especially not when he's the kind of dude who would never use his power for the greater good, only for personal gain, because only foolish fools try to be heroes. Which isn't to say that he won't help end Beastman's slavery, just that he's not going to do it because of any moral principle. He's going to do it because it makes his bunny girl co-wife sad. Also, to be fair to Hajime, his position is more that if a strong guy steps in to solve people's problems with force, those problems are just gonna come back as soon as he leaves, and like...
Yeah, honestly, man, this show is mid at its best. This is what we call mid-anime. this show right now.
I would argue he could probably just give the bunny folk a magic minigun or two, and that would be enough to hold the fort down for a while, but that's still a much more nuanced and compelling excuse than anything Naofumi's ever come up with. I'd make a virgin shield hero versus Chad Whitefang Hurricane joke here, but Arifureta already does that for me.
So we're gonna do it outside?
No, we're not doing it.
Oh, you wanna find an inn and get a room?
No, we're not doing it anywhere. Full stop.
I am perpetually astounded by the glow-up this show has enjoyed since its absolute mess of a first season, which I did a whole roast of a few years back that's tragically age-restricted, by the way. Link to that in the doobly-doo, since the FDA will never recommend it to you and it won't even let me put it in the cards. That's actually why I ended up doing the uncensored Patreon cuts of my menu. The cuts of my... Anyway, Arifureta is just a ton of dumb fun any way you slice it. An easy 4 golden dumpsters, even with how rough that first season can be. And I might just bump it up to 5 if this one can keep up the quality. But if that still hasn't filled your appetite for gun-toting, trench-coated fantasy edgelords, I've got good news for you. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan.
Okay, this is not a trash anime. This one is a incredible watch. This one is one of those where you're like, okay, cool. I'm enjoying this. This is something I need to watch. Like, when you watch this, you're just like, okay, wow, this is actually really incredible. I enjoy this show. It's one of those shows that gave me a shocker when I first watched it. And yeah, it's getting better and better and better. It's no trash. There's no trash whatsoever. It is just incredible. It is a vibe. It is fire. It is fun. It is different. And yeah, of course, I'm also reacting to this on my YouTube channel. Really fun show.
Wait, sorry, that wasn't the news. That was the title of the anime that the news was about, which, as you might have guessed, is a pretty darn edgy one. Not quite as edgy as last season's Failure Frame, but on a scale from Hamtaro to Elfen Lied, the first arc ends with protag Noel Stolen selling his own party members into slavery because they stole his money, including a woman who was secretly in love with him, because literally every woman is secretly in love with him, including...
Yeah, he was wild for doing that, bro. He literally sold his whole team for slavery. That's what you call an edgelord right there.
Why he gouges out at the end of the second arc because that dad tried to poison him to get out of paying a quest bounty. So
nah, he fucked
up there in the edge department. In fact, Alma, the main woman who's in love with him's backstory, is that she murdered her own father as revenge for him murdering all of his other children as part of an Endeavor-style secret project to create the world's deadliest assassin ever because he never got over being only the second strongest guy in the world next to the world's deadliest warrior ever, who happens to be the protagonist's granddad and mentor. But then, tragically, when she had no family left in the world, she got kicked out of the Assassin's Guild, turned away from the only life she's ever known because that outfit clearly doesn't have enough ass emphasis. If anything, she's more of a tits-assassin. That is, of course, a joke, which I had...
Yeah, Alma is actually one of those characters where she actually has a really, really good story and development. She's one of those when you actually watch her, you'll be shocked that, wow, she is next level. One thing that I noticed about her, you know, when you watch her whole story, you're just very shocked and confused. You're like, wow, this is actually a crazy woman. She kills her own father because of what she did to her brothers and sisters. And now she switches up. She even gets kicked out of her own father's clan to now search for this man, Noel, the main protagonist. It's just a crazy story, man. One of those crazy stories. Very interesting, very vibey. I would actually give this one a proper watch. Trust me, the whatchamacall, as much as the title sounds one way, this story is incredible. Another video that I'm watching on my channel, you guys should definitely give this one a watch.
Lead with, so you'd know I'm not joking when I tell you the real reason she was rejected is because she's too edgy for the Assassin's Guild.
アルマ、正直に言おう。これからの教団に君の居場所はない。君の心には修羅が眠っている。君は教団にとって危険だ。
If you can
That's
avoid
crazy.
cutting yourself on all of that, though, there is a surprising amount to like about this series. Its grimdark world full of terrible, selfish people has a kind of steampunky vibe for starters, and also they got these cute little mouse guys driving all the carriages, so clearly can't be all bad.
One thing I also gotta give a kind of sort of criticism is that they didn't expand on the world. I wish they expand more on this world. This world is pretty freaking cool. I like the whole steampunky vibes. I like the whole vibes that they have. Just they need to expand a little bit more on the world because this world is freaking cool. The world building is excellent.
Also, quite a bit more thought than you might expect went into developing its RPG-style power system, and in particular the tactical and even legal nuances of Noel's Pucker power set, which allows him to buff his teammates by shouting combat orders and do some light mind control, hence why there need to be some legal restrictions on how he can use those powers. And
Yes.
obviously, that's still crazy overpowered, despite the fact that everyone in the world thinks it's really underpowered for some reason, like every fantasy protag's power set these days. But it's OP in a way I haven't seen a million times before, which is worth a lot. And Noel's goal of going from 0 to state-sanctioned airship licensed clan master in under a year provides a meaningful sense of progression and direction from arc to arc that's usually missing in these sorts of edgy power fans.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Arifureta. Arifureta has no sense of direction. It's just a show that's, okay, cool, the MC's overpowered, now what? Yeah, these shows need a sense of direction, a sense of goals, you know? Once they have a sense of direction, a sense of goals, then these shows can actually start expanding, seeing where they can go, how far they can go. Yeah, it just needs that. That's all I feel that these shows need.
It's not a great anime by any stretch, but it understood the assignment, and that alone is enough to earn it 4 wastebaskets full of pages from a Tododeku dark fantasy het AU fanfic, which are on fire because Bakugo wrote them. Even now that you've had your fill of trench-coated fantasy edgelords, though, I've got a feeling you still might be craving some more of my patented, absurdly specific segues, which is why I've had the chefs in back line up a second serving of underpowered fantasy adventurer running the world's most powerful clan while all the ladies chase his dick anime for you to enjoy tonight. Let this grieving soul retire.
Let this grieving soul retire. Honestly, one of my most viewed animes on my channel. I appreciate everyone who ever watches me because of this show. This show is the bomb. It's unexpected. I wouldn't give it a trash anime take, but it's unexpected, different, a vibe. Definitely a must watch.
Did have the astounding misfortune to be childhood friends with 6 of the most overpowered adventurers on the whole planet, all of whom think very highly of him for no apparent reason. So despite his repeated insistence that he's really not cut out for this,
I think as well, you know, this show, I think it has a poor execution from the manga. Because, yeah, the manga explains all of his relationships with everybody, why everybody values Cry as being his leader. So the manga has more input of the novel. But yeah, pretty cool.
there actually, and please guys, I think it'd be best if I just went back home and got a normal job already. They have decided to make him the leader of their elite adventuring party, Grieving Souls, which he picked that stupid edgelord name for in hopes that that would finally make them fire him, and also all of the other elite parties that have joined their clan under them. And at this point, he's kind of just got so much riding on his hilariously underqualified ass that he's just got to run with it, stay behind his desk as much as possible, and hope he doesn't get himself or one of his many subordinates who inexplicably look up to him killed. Especially not the cute apprentice thief in the booty shorts who assumes his every fuck up is part of some as yet unrevealed master plan and constantly rides his dick for it.
使徒一人じゃ死んじゃうかもしれないじゃん。私心配なの。だから。
No, sorry, I meant metaphorical dick riding. Also, wrong booty shorts thief. The one thing he has going for him is that over the years, he's amassed quite the collection of extremely dangerous and over-specialized magic artifacts, which he uses judiciously to make up for his complete lack of actual skill, and that lends the—
And I think that's his ability. Cry is an unlucky fellow, but at the same time, he makes up for it with his abilities, with all the relics that he collects, everything that he collects. I gotta give it to him. Cry is one of those people that, all in all, when you see him, you doubt him a lot, but at the end, he does pay off everything. He eventually does pay off his, how can I put this? He eventually does show up and he does his best for his team. That's one thing I gotta give to Cry. No cap.
The show's action a very fun improvisational feel that gels really well with its comedy. I give Let This Grieving Soul Retire 3 flaming banana stands. Now, I could keep on segueing like this all day, but we get to our last anime about a guy with garbage stats and skills and not many friends who's more successful than you'd expect. I want to shift gears a sec and tell you about our choice selection of trash for her. Because here at Chez Garbage, we believe the ladies deserve sloppily animated and written, shamelessly indulgent isekai power fantasies about insanely OP characters with—
Okay, this one, the Villainess, I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History. Honestly, one of those shows that I thought was gonna suck, but in the end, holy shit, this is actually a really cool show, a really cool watch. Oh, of course, a woman's power fantasy, but man, does it slap. Fuck the fact that it's made for women. Watch this shit. This shit hits so hard.
Down between their eyes, surrounded by attractive members of the opposite sex, just as much as us boys. Hey, guess I had one last segue in me after all. When I say sloppily animated and sloppily written, I mean brace yourself, because I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History is a real diamond in the rough. Emphasis on rough. Also, the cubic zirconia, really, and I feel like I still haven't emphasized the rough part of that sentence nearly enough. The characters spend more time off-model than on. The action scenes look like the animators got drunk and filmed themselves for reference before getting even more drunk to actually draw it. The script is insanely contrived, with several plot points involving the king holding a personal audience with the heads of all the major noble houses present to ask a 7-year-old girl's opinion on foreign policy, and the main love interest's name is Prince Duke. Also, it's not really a flaw per se, but whenever Alicia tries to sound like a villainess, she just ends up spouting off basic theory, and I'm not sure how I should feel about that.
I don't know. This show hits though. I don't know. Screw what Mother's Basement is saying. This show is actually a real banger. I fuck with this show. This show hits way harder than I thought it was gonna hit.
But if you can look past all those things, what you'll find is, for once, a villainous anime about an isekai otome gamer who actually wants to be a villainess and succeed where her in-game counterpart failed, instead of just avoiding death flags by being nicer. Mostly motivated by the fact that she just fucking hates the game's goody two-shoes heroine, and while at first that seems—
No, but the heroine is fucked up, bro. I gotta give it to the heroine. The heroine just sucks. She fucking sucks.
being a hater for hating's sake, which is plenty fun in its own right, it slowly becomes clear that said heroine's self-righteous hero complex, combined with her way too much unearned power for any teenager to responsibly wield, make her a genuine menace who needs to be kept in check. A very interesting dynamic that brings to mind the Traveler's Gate trilogy, though maybe that's just because I've been on a Will White audiobook binge ever since getting hooked on the Cradle series. Anyway, I'll Become a Villainess gets 3 wastebaskets packed with saucy drawings of your problematic husbandos that you drew when you were 10. But if you like the sound of that, then you're gonna love the Do-Over Damsel Conquers the...
Yeah, now this one is another crazy trash anime. Dude, like this one is wild. I've heard so much shit about this anime. It is crazy.
Dragon Emperor, a non-isekai power fantasy where the action scenes look as cool as they deserve and the heroine's hottie of choice hasn't been mangled into a Picasso painting of himself. Jill Savelle, a mighty magic swordswoman known throughout her kingdom as the goddess of war, is shocked to see the very nation she swore to protect turn against her after she finds her fiancé, Crown Prince Gerald, in bed with his own sister, and he frames her for attempted murder in order to shut her up. Right before she dies, though, she finds herself thrust back into her 10-year-old body on the night of their betrothal and vows not to let herself end up with that incest freak sociopath again, even if that means declaring her undying love for the first other guy she bumps into. Unfortunately, that guy turns out to be Hades Tios Rave, avatar of the dragon god and teenage emperor of a neighboring nation who's destined to carve a path of blood and fire across the kingdom in the...
Yeah, basically a man which is 23, which is dating a 13-year-old. Like, come on.
very same war that will make her a hero.
It gets wild. That show gets really freaking wild.
Even more unfortunately, in stark contrast to the murdering madman she saw on the battlefield, he is a profoundly lonely and romantically inept man who immediately and enthusiastically accepts the small girl's on-the-spot proposal, which worries her for a lot of reasons, not the least of which being that she just got away from that ciscon freak fiancé and isn't exactly excited to end up with another kind of con.
私はその年齢的に
Don't worry though, after a bit more talking, it quickly becomes clear he's actually so much of a cinnamon roll he just legitimately doesn't realize how that sounded.
しかしお世継ぎの問題とか
世継ぎ出会ったばかりでそんな話なんてどうかと思うな
Also, it turns out
This
the
is
Dragon
crazy.
God is this impossibly lovable little Pokemon type guy, so all things considered, she's kind of stumbled literally ass backwards into living the shoujo dream. But with war and tragedy looming in the near future, that dream could swiftly become a new nightmare. So Jill's got to do everything in her power to protect her new life and her himbo husbando from all the forces arrayed against them. Though, since everything in her power includes throwing entire warships clear over the horizon and punching cannonballs barehanded, her chances are better than you might expect. I give Do-Over Damsel 5 carefully organized folders of saucy art of your problematic husbandos that you commissioned from professional artists with money from your grown-up job. Speaking of problematic husbandos, though, and their equally problematic wives, Yakuza Fiance is...
Yakuza Fiance, also another anime that I've been hearing so much about. This anime hits. A lot of people have really appreciated this one. This one hits so hard. Yeah, definitely a must watch. A must watch.
Mess of a love story about how love can't make you crazy if you're fucking insane already. As part of a pact to finally settle all the bad blood between their grandpa's crime syndicates, Yoshino Some moves from Osaka to Tokyo to marry Kirishima Miyama, who seems like a nice enough guy at first until he gets bored with her sheltered rich girl act and lets his mask slip, revealing the vicious, unhinged Yakuza thug lurking just beneath.
吉野のトリエってその顔と体だろ それ売って金にしてくれない
She's not the type to take an insult like that lying down, though, and she has plenty of experience taming thugs, so instead of running away, she vows to make him fall for her and then ruin his life, starting by selling her own kidney to make a point. And conveniently enough, ruin your life crazy is exactly what Kirishima's looking for in a woman, explicitly because it's what makes his hard. This one's for all the ladies out there longing for a man who will really fight over them and fight dirty, maybe break an ashtray or two upside the other guy's head. The kind of man who won't just come check on you when you're home in bed with a bad fever, but can pick the lock in case you're too sick to get up, or just because he feels like watching you sleep that night. Though at the same time, being based on a seinen manga and all, it's got just as much to offer for the fellas, specifically the Spike Spiegels of the world.
I love the...
Yeah, I gotta watch this. This one sounds so fucking crazy. I like it. I like shows like that. Shows that have crazy protagonists, I am there. 100% there.
My ass.
Ain't none of that weak-ass modern tsundere shit here. If you cross her, Yoshino will straight up beat your ass unconscious with a hairdryer. And on that note, it's also for anyone out there who thought Nisekoi was a waste of a good crime drama premise and didn't have nearly enough people getting stabbed in it, or that it just wasn't toxic enough. If you're looking for a romance about people getting hurt physically and emotionally, Yakuza Fiance is for you. I give it 4 Host Club trash cans packed with lipstick-stained Polaroids of Goro Majima in drag.
That is crazy.
Now that that's cleansed your palate of all the overwhelming fantasy flavors we've enjoyed.
Loner Life in Another World. Yeah, that one is a good one. Loner Life is an incredible one. Let's hear it.
Appreciate the surprisingly complex taste of our last piece of isekai trash. Loner Life in Another World is another one of them isekai things about a class loner who gets isekai'd alongside all his peers, but ends up rolling the worst skills out of all of them, which later allow him to become the strongest guy ever. Clearly,
Classic.
it's inspired by Arifureta. Protag-kun's even canonically an Arifureta fan, but one thing it doesn't borrow from its inspiration is all of that edge. Haruka isn't a loner because he's ostracized or bullied, for starters, or even because he doesn't like other people. He kind of just does his own thing because he enjoys solitude. And he doesn't end up with weak skills as a reflection of how life isn't fair or whatever. He hid in the rafters when the isekai portal popped up because it seemed like it was going to be a pain in the ass, so he ended up getting overlooked by God when all the cheat skills and equipment were handed out on a first-come, first-served basis, and got stuck with all the leftovers after complaining about it too much, including some that genuinely do suck ass, though there are a few good ones that just weren't picked.
Yeah, Loner Life actually hits so hard, man. It's one of those animes that you think is gonna suck, but man, it gets better and better by time. Yeah, it's one of those when you watch it, you're just like, wow, this is an anime I actually really enjoy. I enjoyed this one. You know, this one I enjoyed so much. I didn't expect it was gonna hit so hard. But yeah, like, it's different, man.
Because they have really stupid sounding names, but the fact that he's got so many of them allows him to find surprisingly strong synergies between those crap skills, which is a small but meaningful distinction from all the fantasy anime crap out there where everyone around Protag-kun is just too goddamn...
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna have to wrap this one up. Yeah, Loner Life, really good, really good list. Different type of animes that you see over here. Really nice shows that you never expect are gonna hit hard. But honestly, from this list, there's only one show that was kind of trashy. The rest are good. The rest are really top tier. You know, I feel like sometimes you can't expect every single anime to have the best animation, the best story and direction. Yeah, we got some good, simple story, direction, and anime elements that I feel like, you know, we could learn from. I enjoy this. I really enjoy this list. Yeah, guys, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. Yeah, you know, this was a really good one. Really good one.